The dark mouth of the torn river lay frozen beneath a January moon when Camila Reyes stepped off the shuttle bus and into the blue-white glow of the Swedish Ice Hotel. For the travel blogger behind Wild Latitude, this assignment was supposed to be a glittering slice of winter escapism. Auroras, husky safaris, cocktails in hollowed-out ice goblets. As she dragged her wheeled suitcase over the packed snow, every breath tasted faintly of iron and pine. The lobby was a grotto of glassy corridors and vaulted ceilings. Light refracted through translucent walls, smearing the floors with shifting prisms. Camilla's phone camera was already in her hand. She snapped frames of a crystalline chandelier suspended by near-invisible nylon, of couches cut from blocks so clear you could read newsprint through them, of the bar where bottles rested in snowdrift shelves. Her editor had asked for color, for whimsy, for holiday season sparkle, but the hotel delivered something starker. More cathedral than carnival. At reception, a young woman in a fleece headband gave Camilla the room key, really a card with an engraved snowflake that unlocked Suite 14. "Remember, the ice rooms are cold enough to freeze tears," the receptionist warned with a smile. "The bathrooms are in the warm wing." Cold enough to freeze tears. Camilla tucked the phrase away for her article, then followed an arched tunnel deeper inside. The temperature fell as she walked. -5, -6, -7 Celsius. Frost climbed her camera-like pale lichen. In Suite 14, a reindeer higgithrow covered a bed made of compressed snow, its headboard carved into a swirling aurora. She switched on her DSLR and captured the whole room, the way LED strips embedded under the ice turned the headboard into a flickering, ever-shifting sky. Satisfied, she slipped into the thermal clothing the hotel provided and went outside for her scheduled Aurora tour. That night delivered emerald curtains that snapped and rippled against an ink-puddle sky. Camilla froze her cheeks for 2 glorious hours, riding a snowmobile out to the river bend, and her memory cards were fat with 10-second exposures by the time she strapped off her helmet. Inside, the corridors were deserted. Guests had retreated to warm cabins or the vodka bar. Camilla should have done the same, but something tugged her toward the grand hall. A soaring nave of sculpted niches and ice pillars. She crouched beneath a luminous polar bear sculpture, framing its muzzle against a beam of blue LED. Click, click. Another angle click. She panned the lens left and froze. Dead center in her viewfinder lay a thin, dark streak caught inside one wall. It stretched downward from a shoulder-high alcove like a watery scarlet drip. She lowered the camera, squinting at the ice with naked eyes. Nothing. Just pure, milky translucence. She lifted the camera again. The stain reappeared. She tried autofocus, manual focus, swapped lenses. Every shot recorded the same faint ribbon of red that vanished when she looked without the lens. Subtle, but nauseatingly familiar. Dried blood. Her journalist reflex whispered artifact, maybe a sensor defect. She turned and photographed a new wall. Clear. Back to the suspect spot. Scarlet streak. She marked the location in her notebook, 12 paces from the southern pillar, alcove number 5. Satisfied that she had at least a technical mystery to chew on, Camilla returned to her room, curled in the thermal sleeping bag, and fell asleep wondering whether she should flag the anomaly to staff or save it as clickbait for her blog. Morning dumped lavender light across the courtyard. Camilla went straight to the grand hall. Ice squeaked under her rubber soles. She halted at alcove 5. The wall was a pristine sheet of frosted crystal. No streak, no discoloration, not even a scuff from skates or boots. She pressed her palm flat to the surface. A chill crawled up her wrist. Had she dreamed it? A quick review of last night's photos answered, no. The stain looked even clearer in daylight, like a painter's accidental brushstroke on cold glass. Camilla tracked down an employee, a ruddy-cheeked man ferrying laundry bags, and asked if any maintenance happened overnight in the grand hall. He shrugged. Only the usual brushing away of snow. She showed him the image. His face pinched before he handed the camera back. "Talk to management," he muttered, then trundled on, boots clomping. An uneasy current slithered in Camilla's stomach. She uploaded the file to her laptop, enlarged it at 300% zoom. Oxygenated blood darkens to maroon quickly, but there was something almost black inside that red. She posted a single cryptic Instagram story, "When ice remembers what the living forget." Within minutes, her DMs overflowed with snowflake emojis and question marks. At noon, she was scheduled for a reindeer sled trip, offered by a local Sami family. Half tempted to cancel, she decided instead to stash her unease behind sunglasses and gather more material. Outside, snow crystals blew off roofs like confetti. The sleds waited on the riverbank, curved birch runners, reindeer hides for seats, and thick leather harnesses clipped to animals whose antlers looked too delicate for the brutal cold. The guide introduced himself as Niels Ravnir, beard dusted with hoarfrost, eyes the grey-green of river ice. He helped Camilla wrap a woolen blanket around her legs before cracking his whip above the lead reindeer. Soon they glided into the silent taiga, the only sounds the hiss of runners and the soft grunt of hooves punching snow. After 20 minutes of polite conversation, Camilla's journalistic twitch got the better of her. She handed Niels her DSLR, flipped to the stained wall photo and asked, "You grew up here. Ever seen anything like this in ice?" He slowed the sled to a crawl, examining the image for a long beat. When he looked up, the creases around his eyes had deepened. "We're in the hotel." "The grand hall last night, now it's gone." Niels guided the reindeer into a clearing ringed by birches and stopped. Breath fogged between them. 3 weeks ago, a woman vanished. Her name was El Markan. She worked carving ice blocks for the hotel. Police say she packed a bag and took the train south. I don't believe them. Camilla felt her pulse in her throat. "Why not?" "Because she had no ticket, no money. She is my cousin." The guide's voice bundled anger and grief in equal measure. "I asked management for the security footage. They claimed the cameras that night were frozen, lens cracked by cold, yet every other night they work." He turned the camera back toward her. "The stain, did you tell the police?" "I took it 12 hours ago," Camilla answered. "I wanted confirmation first." Niels placed gloved fingers against the image on the LCD. "The river froze solid a month ago. No blood should flow inside new ice. Unless someone carved a piece. Or someone bled against it recently." He guided the sled homeward in somber silence. Back at the hotel, tourists swarmed the lobby wearing neon snowsuits, oblivious to the conversation that had leached warmth from Camilla's veins. Before they parted, Niels said, "Meet me at the reindeer paddock after dinner. Wear something dark." In her heated cabin over a bowl of lingonberry porridge, Camilla reread her notes on Swedish privacy laws. Publishing the photo without proof of wrongdoing could land her a defamation suit. But burying it, if it truly hinted at a crime, was worse. Twilight swallowed the landscape by 4 p.m. She dressed in charcoal fleece and crept to the paddock where Niels awaited beside a snowmobile. "Hotel blocks are stored in the icehouse by the river," he said. "If they replace the stained wall, the original piece must be inside." "We look." Camilla climbed behind him. The engine coughed to life, sled skittering over snow, wind needling her eyes. The icehouse sat low among spruces, a squat bunker of logs insulated by snowbanks. A padlock dangled from the door, broken open. Niels frowned. "I did not do that." They slipped inside. A battery lamp revealed towering cubes of ice wrapped in tarpaulins. Meltwater puddles glossed the floor, reflecting jittery light. The air smelled metallic like cold pennies. Camilla pulled back a sheet. Beneath, a slab glittered with trapped bubbles. Near one corner, crimson feathers streaked through the ice. Her stomach lurched. The stain in her photograph had been a vertical smear. Here the blood bloomed in abstract veins, as though someone had tried chiseling it out and left fractures behind. A broken pick lay nearby, its shaft darkened. Fumbling, she raised her camera. Before she could click, a muffled voice barked. Who's there? Footsteps crunched outside. Niels doused the lamp. Camilla's heartbeat hammered in her ears. The door swung inward and light spilled inside, silhouettes forming. 2 men, one stocky in a manager's blazer, the other wearing gloves emblazoned with the hotel logo. "Shut it!" the manager hissed. He flicked a flashlight, beam scanning the room. It landed on the broken lock, then on Camilla and Nils crouched behind a stack of tarps. "Step out," he commanded with brittle calm. They obeyed. Camilla recognized him as the general manager, Mauten Eck. His expression floated between annoyance and calculation. "Explain," Eck said. Niels answered first. "We found blood locked inside your ice. My cousin disappeared. Tell us why." Eck's nostrils flared. "This is proprietary storage. You're trespassing." Camilla lifted her camera. "I have photographs from last night and right now. That stain was part of your hotel wall. You removed it." Eck's jaw pinched. The other employee, a blond man with sculptor's calluses, shifted, eyes darting. "People come here for purity," Eck said. "No one wants to see ugliness trapped in their bedroom walls. Occasionally the river ice contains debris fish, dirt, unfortunately even blood from animal kills upstream. We discreetly replace any flawed panels." "That is not animal blood," Nils snapped. Eck shrugged. "Lab results disagree," Camilla inhaled sharply. "You have lab results. Then you admit you sampled it." "Of course. We check anomalies to guarantee safety." Eck's gaze settled on her camera. "Give me the SD card and we'll forget you entered here." Camilla stepped back. "I prefer not." Eck's polished calm fractured. "Then I'll involve police, trespassing, sabotage, potentially theft. Your sponsors would drop you." Niels placed himself between them. "Call police," he challenged. "I want them here." A tense stalemate hung in frost-laden air until Eck pivoted toward the sculptor. "Get security. Tell them room storage B breach." The man hesitated, then jogged into the night. Eck faced his adversaries again, voice low. "I am protecting the hotel's reputation and the region's livelihoods. Hundreds of jobs rely on this season. One sensational blog post, and tourists vanish. Elle's life matters more than profits," Nils said. Eck's gaze slid off toward the stained block, and it struck Camilla how frightened he looked under his veneer. "You don't understand," he muttered. "I begged her to go to the hospital. The chisels slipped. She wouldn't. She said she'd lose her job. She walked out into the snow." Silence collapsed inside the ice house, heavy as deep water. Niels groped for words. "You saw her injured? When?" Eck swallowed. "Midnight. 3 weeks ago. She was carving alone. I checked on her later. Blood on the block on her gloves. She said it was nothing, refused transport. I contacted the nurse on call. By the time help arrived, she was gone." Eck rubbed frost off his eyebrows. "I searched until dawn. Police concluded she boarded a train, perhaps to Norway." "But you never told them she bled," Niels accused. Eck looked broken. "I thought she'd show up angry at me for fussing. When the media began sniffing, I replaced the block, lied about the cameras. A stupid choice snowballed." Camilla watched Nils's shoulders sag beneath his parka. The 2 men's breaths mingled like ghosts in the gloom. "Did you keep her gloves?" she asked. Eck pointed at a metal locker. Inside, a plastic evidence bag held maroon-stained mittens. "I planned to mail them to her father," he whispered, as if the intention could absolve him. Snow squeaked outside, security approaching. Niels turned to Camilla. "We need to call the constable, not hotel guards." She nodded, snapped photos of the gloves, the blood frost slab, the broken padlock. Security burst in, 2 burly locals in insulated vests. Eck raised a hand. "It's handled," he said. But Camilla spoke over him. "We have potential evidence in a missing person case," she announced. "Please summon Karuna police, right now." The guards glanced at each other uncertain, then at Niels, whose family name carried weight in this valley. One nodded and lifted his radio. While they waited, Camilla typed a brief statement on her phone, discovering possible evidence, cooperating with authorities, refraining from publicizing details until family notified. She posted it, timestamped, geotagged. The push of send felt like prying open a sealed door and letting raw air flood through. Police arrived within the hour, headlights carving searchlight cones through drifting snow. They cordoned off the ice house, photographed everything, and loaded the stained slab onto a trailer for forensic thawing. X sat on a crate, cheeks hollowed, answering questions. The sculptor, who had fled earlier, returned sheepishly, describing hearing Elle cry out, seeing her stumble towards staff housing, and assuming she'd gone inside. No one had checked. At 2 a.m., Camilla and Niels gave formal statements in the Warm Wings conference room. Outside the window, the aurora shimmered like a celestial bruise. By dawn, preliminary tests confirmed human blood on the ice block and gloves. Patrols began searching riverbanks and forest trails. Niels insisted on joining. Camilla stood beside him at the staging point, exhausted but vibrating with purpose. Snowflakes clung to his eyelashes like silver filigree. "Thank you," he said. She shook her head. "You nudged me. I only followed the story." He fixed her with a gentle stare. "Sometimes that's all justice needs, one person who refuses to look away." When the search teams departed, Camilla retreated to her cabin to draft. The article poured out in a steady stream, a world of carved ice that tried to bury a wound, the camera lens that exposed it, a community now forced to reckon with duty of care, transparency, the lives behind the tourism brochure. She included Nils's voice, Elle's name, X confession, and the ongoing investigation. She omitted speculation, stuck to facts, and closed with an image of dawn light bending through the vacant alcove where the bloodstain had lived. A reminder that even ice can remember, and that memory can shatter silence. 2 days later, searchers found Elle. She lay under a wind-packed snowdrift less than a kilometer from the hotel, curled as if still carving. Hypothermia had taken her after blood loss made her collapse. A tragedy cracked across Swedish news. The Ice Hotel issued a public apology, establishing new safety protocols and memorializing Elle's artistry in next season's sculptures. Camilla stayed for the service. She watched Nils press a carved ice rose onto his cousin's casket, tears freezing on his cheeks. The hotel choir sang in Sami, each note a plume of vapor in the cold air. Above them, the sky danced green, shedding curtains of moving light. That evening, Camilla uploaded her final post, titled simply, "When Ice Remembers." It went viral within hours. Shared by journalists, activists, travelers, comments cascaded. Grief, outrage, donations to Sami cultural funds. Some readers accused her of ruining a beloved destination. Others thanked her for telling the uncomfortable truth. Camilla closed her laptop and stepped outside. The alcove in the grand hall was still empty, awaiting a fresh block. Through its gap she could see the torn river frozen solid, moonlight skating across its surface like a blade. Snow creaked behind her. Nils emerged, hands buried in pockets. "Heading south tomorrow?" he asked. "After the police clear me." She exhaled a shaky plume. "But I'll be back. There's a bigger story here, about how this land is marketed, who benefits, who pays." Nils offered a tired smile. "When you return, I'll show you the places tourists never see." They stood wordless for a moment, listening to the distant hum of electric generators, to the rustle of spruce needles under wind, to the quiet churn of a hotel awakening to its conscience. Camilla lifted her camera one last time and took a picture of the vacant alcove. No blood, just emptiness cut by possibility. The shutter clicked, sharp as cracking ice. It was, she knew, the beginning of another story, one where footprints might not be erased overnight, where memory had claws, and where cold truth once revealed burned fiercely enough to thaw even the most dazzling facade.